Good morning, CNC world. Today, I'm going to talk about some of the new features and new look of Sheetcam after the latest update. Things that we want to do and watch out for. Make this a little simpler on everybody. One of the first things you're going to notice after doing your update is that it looks really different. Instead of just a few things being down here and everything being up in the drop down menus, now pretty much everything that's in the drop down menus has been brought down here. And you can move these around or get rid of them if you want. Um, but they got a little bit better pictures, I think, on describing what they are. But if you hover over them, it will tell you what they are. Um, so you can hit edit contours. I can just go see edit start points, whatever I may want to do. Okay, that's a pretty big thing that we see is different. Okay, one of the things you're going to notice is when you originally open it up, it's going to ask you, do you want to keep your custom tool names? We are going to want to click yes on that because we want to keep our names of our tools we set up. Also, there's a box that you check that says do not ask me again. So check that and then check yes for keep your automatically keep your name. So we don't want to get rid of that. One of the new things that I've seen that is a big help. You go to your tools and we go to our cutting path rules. The way things used to be handled when it came to path rules was pretty confusing for a lot of people and required a bit of computer programming skill to do. But in your post processor, it will have a thing for THC off, THC on, and however that's written, if it's capitals, lowercase, whatever, spaces, all one word, and then that would link to your code, your M205 or M206 or whatever it may be for your particular machine. So that how it was spelled would have to be also in your code snippets. Okay, and then in your path rules, when you made a path rule, you would refer it to that code snippet, and then that code snippet would refer it back to the post processor. Okay, and if you had a capital or a space or something like that different here or here, or you went in here and you added a new code snippet, it would then override the original one, and then your path rules no longer work to put in your proper G code that you had in there. So what we would have to do before, we would have to verify in our tool table that down at the bottom, however our code snippet was written, okay, matched what was in our post processor. It's a big pain in the butt. Okay. Well, they now made this a little bit more intuitive and a little bit easier for the common person to use. So here, let's just say before end of cut. Okay. Um, Before the end of the cut, quarter inch before, including the tool, the lead out, we're going to do 100%, but we're going to put the code is going to be M206, which is torch height controller off. And we can see really clearly what code is going to put in there and what all it's going to do. So to me, this is a very big improvement. Don't know why they didn't do this years ago. Um, so pretty happy with that. Uh, Next thing is there are parts of Sheetcam that have always had a bug and have never worked. And really upsetting for me because one of the things it was supposed to do is that if you put in, let's say, a 3/8 lead in and it couldn't fit a lead in, it was supposed to automatically fit a lead in to that. And what you would find is that if it didn't fit, it would just give you an error and say couldn't fit lead in, and that was it, and you were kind of screwed. Okay. Uh, well, now it seems that that feature is working for the most part, but there's also a bunch of extra added features. Uh, so it all depends on what kind of drawing or part you're trying to make. Um, if we're cutting this out for artwork, we don't care so much if these corners are perfectly tight and don't have any undercut. But if this is a mechanical piece and there's a piece that slots into this, okay, having an undercut in the corners is a big issue, especially if something's trying to fit in like this. It's not going to fit in there if you have rounded corners because the torch went in, changed direction, and the arc had a little lag to it. Okay. Um, Also, uh, problem for milling, you got a round bit, you're going to have a radius. So you had the same problem with that. So if you're trying to cut this piece out uh, on the outside contour and then make a pocket that this fits in, you couldn't do inlays because you'd have a rounded to your inside and no rounded on your outside, and these wouldn't match up and it wouldn't fit. So they've made great improvements on this. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go ahead. We're going to do a plasma operation first. Um, so here's the improvements. Um, One of them they have is right here. Start at the center of circle smaller than, and you can put a number in there. You can overcut internal corners. They didn't used to have this. They just had loop corners, which honestly, this never seemed to do much for me. If your plasma is good, it goes out and does this corner. But I guess if you're really concerned about having a perfect point here, you can loop this and change the size of your loop. Okay. Um, but I'm going to just run this without any of these features so we can see what we get. Okay. So here we got our lead ins. And I did a 3/8 lead in, so we can see it fit the big lead in. Well, look, it shrunk the lead in down here, okay, and it shrunk it here for where it was at, right? Um, so depending on how I put this, it automatically, like, if it can fit a bigger one like it did up there, then it would do so. Okay. So, and what's nice about this now, it's not letting me put a lead in places where I can't. See, so I can't fit a lead in going across here without shrinking it. So it tries to bump me out and put me in a spot that I can go. Okay. So that's a pretty cool feature if you ask me. Okay. Um, One of the other things that I think is cool is these extra features. So let me go edit my operation. First, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to say uh, 0.5. So start at the center of hole smaller than ½ inch. Okay. So here, now we can see instead of it fitting one that's going to just fit, it actually shortened this down and made it to the center of the hole. So now we can put in our file a bigger lead in and then have it automatically do that, that's just going to be fabulous for us. Being able to use longer lead-ins, so we don't have to worry about our art getting fully started and getting full cut out and all of that crap that we used to have to deal with trying to run a smallest lead-in possible just to not leave a divot and be able to, you know, get our arc off of the edge. So that's how it looks like when we just do that feature. Okay, and then I'm going to go back and edit this again, and we're going to add this overcut internal corners. Okay, so we can see what this does. This adds a little line going into the corners. Okay, it does an overcut. So normally we would have an undercut where this would not fit a rectangle hole. Okay, or cutouts. With this, doing mechanical parts, now it's going to fit that. Okay, um, definitely not something you'd probably want to use for art stuff because who wants to see these extra slits in there? But if you were doing a mechanical piece that needs to get welded up, something that's supposed to tab and slot into each other or fit nicely for weld up or something, this is going to be absolutely great because now we no longer have to draw our file different. We just draw our file how we want it and decide, hey, are we doing a mechanical piece or are we doing an art piece? And it's all just a matter of turning on or off that feature. Okay, so so I'm just gonna disable that again, and actually I'm gonna delete this operation. I'm gonna move. Um, I'm gonna move this one to a different layer. Okay, I'm going to bring in my milling tools. Okay, and then we're going to go to operation. We're going to do a pocket. Um, Yet again, I'm going to disable this overcut at first, and then we'll go back and turn it on. I want to show you what that does and why we have that. Normally, what we would have to do in order to get where you could fit a square peg in a square hole, we would have to dog bone it like this in our drawing, okay, and have an overcut so that way we get a square where a square piece can fit in there, okay, because you can see the radius of our bit is going to leave us voids that didn't get cut, So if we were trying to inlay this and I cut a piece on the outside off of this same drawing and then tried to pocket this, that piece would not fit in there because of the roundness of the corners, okay? So definitely a big problem, more so I think when you're doing milling, you run into this a lot more because you're building pieces that fit into each other, okay? So I'm going to go to operation, edit this operation here. We're just going to click that on. And now uh, we no longer have to draw our file any different because now it automatically overcut the corners. So now the parts will fit. Look at that. Okay. And with milling, this doesn't change the look as much as it would with plasma, I don't think. And this gets the job done. So big improvements, guys. I highly recommend doing your update on your Sheetcam. Okay, just make sure you click "Don't Show Again" and then OK on your keep your custom tool names, and then from there, everything's gonna be very similar. You just got to get used to how this stuff looks, and then, like I say, pay attention to the new features. They're right there in front of you. Definitely some worthwhile things to note. Very very happy with the differences that they've made. So let me know what you guys think. I'm going to try to keep up with updates and whatnot on all these different softwares to keep you guys informed. You guys have a nice day.